Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to Nerd Week Live here on YouTube, brought to you by the folks at Nerd Caliber. I am Rodney Brown. I'm the person who can't see himself until he brings up, there we go. Pardon me. Editor in chief of Nerd Caliber, first person shooter as a photographer on Facebook, early adopter, and a couple of other places like Twitter and so on. Sarah, hello, welcome to the show. And joining me tonight, back after a couple of weeks, well, we weren't on last week, so she only missed a week. Yay. Introduce yourself, lovely.
Hi, I'm Gogo Incognito. I've been with Nerd Caliber for a while. They are my favorite nerd media team, and I'm super happy to be back with them this year at New York Comic Con doing what we do. We're going to be interviewing everybody, and it's going to be amazing, and I'm just so happy to be here. Also, Rodney, back to you.
Awesome. Sarah, as you heard, we're doing well. I'm doing much better than last week. Looks like the pine pollen around me. Not that anybody cares. Allergies a lot better. Lazy? Do I say lazy or workaholic? Either way, hi. Ferd, go and hello. And thank you for joining on the chat. So let's see. What are we talking about first? We've got anything to get out of the way. We will be at PortCon, Maine, if you're in the northern New England area, the very last weekend of this month. We will be doing two panels, Friday morning and Saturday morning, both of them first thing in the morning, 9 o'clock. Oh, well. But this is new. Good Lord willing that they show up in the next 2 weeks. We will have free, very high value, thermoplastic tubs of product for crafting and so on, for making your cosplay work, that we'll be giving out at the panel. Not really sure how we're going to do that. Probably like sign up things on your chair. Anyway, so if you can make it, check out the panels. You can get good swag. Just saying. Maggie, salute. And we're going to get into our first topic. So our first topic was, because we didn't have a show last week, we didn't get to talk most immediately about the E3 stuff. So that's going to be our first thing tonight, is E3. Because Gogo didn't catch a whole lot of it. She was otherwise occupied during most of the last weekend and last week. So she's going to lead off with the one she did see and that is super excited about, and the one that I'm pretty excited about too. And that is, of course,
Borderlands.
Borderlands 3.
Borderlands 3. If you know, okay, you might be like, I've never seen her before. Or you may be like, oh, God, I've known her for a long time and she's really obnoxious. Yes, I am.
No, she's
Yes.
not.
No, I'm actually really nice. Anyway, I love Borderlands. I have been cosplaying Borderlands since Borderlands 1. That's a long time. But we do it well. We do it often. I'm a serious Borderlands lover, and it's been loving, but also a little bit hard to keep up with the Borderlands stuff because they give us dribs and drabs. But it's amazing because first the thing they showed were the villains, and they're so good. They're so good. And really, hold on, I'm scrolling through right now because I have all these notes because I've written, I know, I've written pages and pages and pages of notes about Borderlands. But we have another siren, and we know that there are only so many in the galaxy. There are only so many in the universe, and we have a siren color. Her name's Amara, and we're here for her completely. And I don't even know if this is what came up with E3. It might have been earlier than that. I don't know. This is what's important, though. We have another siren, and have you seen the Beastmaster?
Not the movie. I'm assuming you're referring to
No,
the
no, no,
character
no.
class.
No, but anyone who played Mordecai, who went and threw out, it was like, good burb, best friend, good burb. And it was a whole thing. And now it's not just a burb. Sorry.
I am very much looking forward to that class. All of the classes that they've introduced, including the new Siren and her where were you here, and her multiple arms,
That.
is bueno, as Lewis would say, muy bueno. I didn't say hello to Aaliyah. Aaliyah, howdy. Um, so yes, Borderlands. I'm really looking forward to Borderlands 3. Also, I like the way they've held on to the art style while updating it. I like the fact that those two brother and sister villains look like anime characters.
They
Um,
do. And they are giving a huge challenge to cosplayers everywhere because
yep.
as an old school Borderlands cosplayer, I'm like, I can make this, I can do this, I can sew this, and now it's like armor, 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 armor. But people are already doing it, and I'm like, that's amazing.
I saw
I
pictures from somebody at what was the most recent one? Probably Wizard World Philly. It might have been Anime Next, or it might have been YetiCon, or I don't know. There's a bunch in these last 2 weekends that did the sister and was scary good, like so spot on, just amazing, amazing.
I think it's gorgeous. I think they're really upping their game in terms of the costuming, which does make it a little bit harder for us who've been with you for a long time and are just like here, like pulling together our pieces from like thrift shops and whatnot. But again, the Beastmaster has a skag and the spider ant. And if you're like me and you spent those late, late, late nights when you were studying for your graduate degree or you were just up doing a thing and you were like, I'll just go there and I'll see if they actually give me that gun. It was correct and it was right. And so I'm here for it.
Yep, very much looking forward to it. Um, Sarah, I don't get the reference. Mordecai and Rigby from Cartoon Network. Are you thinking? Are you saying that that's what, in your mind, the brother and sister from Borderlands 3 look like? Let me know. I didn't tell you guys how I'm doing this. So it's like our top five or so, but obviously, GoGo has our top one. Well, kind of top two. We'll get to that when I get to that one of mine. And so I'm just going to run down my next few, in pretty quick order. Star Wars Jedi. I got to say, EA didn't do much for me, but Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and by the way, in case the name is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, so that implies that there will be a series of Star Wars Jedi games. Um, Absolutely fantastic looking. You've got the main character who is played by, I can't remember the actor's name, is the guy that played Jerome in Gotham, the not quite Joker.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
yeah, good. He's a really good actor, good kid, and he comes across as a great heroic character.
wow. Okay, cool.
You've got Forrest Whitaker doing Saw Gerrera, and that's obviously completely screwed up Saw Gerrera that you're seeing there. He's not breathing through tubes and whatever.
Nice.
But the gameplay looks fantastic, and I saw this in a video afterwards when they were talking about the gameplay. One of the things you can see him doing the Jedi trick, which you see in the movies and in some of the games, where he's twirling the lightsaber really fast, blocking blaster shots. And the developer said, look, you can just basically hold the button down and he'll twirl the blaster and block the shots and they'll just go anywhere. If you want to try to time it so that he blocks a single blaster shot, if you time it right, that's when you shoot it directly back at the stormtrooper and kill him. And I thought, that's brilliant mechanics. I can't wait to try that and fail so many times, but still have a lot of fun. Sarah, I was just asking what your question about Mordecai and Rigby from Cartoon Network was. So I'm not really sure what that's in reference to, but if you let me know if it applies to what we're talking about, that's cool. Anyway, very much looking forward to Star Wars Jedi: Fallen Order. Gameplay looks great. Art looks great. BD1, that little droid that's on, I can't remember the character's name, begins with a K. Kai something. Anyway, is really cool. Do a lot of really neat things. Um, and the sound work is done by the guy who did the original sound work for R2D2 in the original trilogy. So, yay. Moving on to this is the one. This is the other one that Gogo is really keen on, and that's why. So, Gogo, tell us why you're so keen on Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay. Oh, being somebody in who's older than, let's just say older than 30, I have been around for all of the Keanu, all of it. And I respect everything that he does. And I've been there for everything that he's been through. And now he's come back with the John Wick and everything. I've also, as a New Yorker, I respect every moment that he gets on the subway and he's just like, I'm a subway kid. I'm like, yeah, I am too. Completely. But here he is, John Wick aside, Cyberpunk, this, he is like, I am here as my essence.
I gotta say, so when they showed the Cyberpunk 2077 cinematics and some gameplay, I was like all for it. I've been really looking forward to this game for quite a while anyway. And then when the main character in the cinematic opens his eyes, somebody's reaching out a cybernetic hand, and the camera pans up, and it's freaking Keanu Reeves.
It is, and he's got that. What is? I think that's his name, though, isn't it? Like
Yeah, his
Silverhand.
Johnny Silverhand. He's actually
Johnny's.
he's a rocker and a revolutionary.
And
Um,
again, I just that name though, Johnny Silverhand.
yep. It's perfect. It's a Johnny mnemonic. If you want to get really
Yes.
super nerdy, it's maybe a reference to Nuada of the Silver Hand from or Nud, depending on whether it's the Irish legends or the Welsh legends. So it's a reference to a god. It's and it's Keanu friggin' Reeves looking like Cyber John Wick. I mean, he's
And
got
it's
that.
also Keanu Reeves showing up happily because if you
Yes.
have been following anything that he's been doing, he just doesn't do anything that he doesn't want to do. If he wants to do it, he does it. If
Yep.
he doesn't do it. So he's showing up for this and he is here for it. So let's celebrate.
Jake, welcome to the show. And we're doing well here, Gogo and I. Hopefully, everybody else in the chat is. Um, Jake, we're running down a few of the games that were at E3 that we're excited about. We just hit Cyberpunk 2077 and, of course, the whole Keanu Reeves thing. Gogo, if you haven't seen when he then walked out live on stage, go look at that YouTube video or one of the billion that are out there. It is one of the most amazing audience reactions you've ever seen in your life. They lose it completely for this guy. It made me really feel bad. Later on, John Bernthal comes out for Ubisoft, like the next day in Ubisoft's conference, because he plays a character in one of their, I can't remember which one of their shoot 'em up games, one of their Tom Clancy or something. Um, and I felt like that poor guy. He's got to be the guy, the celebrity that has to follow that Keanu Reeves reaction even a day later. I mean, he must feel so bad. He did a
Ooh.
great job. He was entertaining and fun, but still, poor guy. Anyway, moving on to our next game, or my next game, because the rest of these are pretty much kind of mine. Because, like I said, Gogo didn't get a chance to see much. Wolfenstein Youngblood. Very much into the Wolfenstein reboot since it started. I actually just became a fan of it when I finally got around playing Wolfenstein New Order, which I had bought on one of those Humble Bundle deals almost a year and a half ago and just never got around to it. And just destroyed it. Or it destroyed me, but I mean, I played it like almost nonstop for about 3 days. Um, and the idea of really involving first person shooter gameplay that has you killing Nazis.
I've always okay. If we're talking about this, I can't talk about the new one, but the last one, what was that? 3? New Order. New Order.
New Order, yeah.
that.
It was awesome.
It was correct. It was so exhilarating. It was so good. Anybody who likes a first person shooter and has, I don't know if I can say this, um, any sense of decency?
You can say that.
Any sense of decency. This is, it's such a good game.
I think
And
that is absolutely 100% nerd caliber policy. Calling out Nazis is always the right thing to do. Always,
so,
always the right thing to do.
so I don't know about the new one, but I will attest to the old one. And if it's probably because the old one I do remember because I was at PAX with you all like it was 3 or 4 years ago,
Yep,
and no New Order they had a booth,
yep.
and then I got the game and it was so good.
It's really good, really challenging. Just
Yes.
an excellent game. Let me pop that image back over there for folks because that's one of the things that I love about this is that you can play single player or co-op. Either way, you're one of Blazkowicz's daughters. You don't get a choice. You're playing a badass chick. Um, and if you
You're
play
playing a
co-op,
badass woman.
a badass woman. Sorry, chick. Badass gal. I like gal as sort of
No, I like
in
gal.
between.
I always use gal. Gal
All right.
works. Let's do gal.
We'll do gal. And that's fantastic. Yes, yes, please. I mean, I love playing Blazkowicz. I think he's a great character. Um, but, it's in this, 80s now, so he's really old. And anyway, looking forward to it. Um, my next one is I just lost it when this character showed up, when Helen showed up. So, Watch Dogs Legion, the idea is it's in a post Brexit England, and government has kind of collapsed, and there's crime gangs and all sorts of other things that are, carving out their own fiefdoms. You're trying to get some sort of semblance of, decent human behavior back by staging a revolution as a hacker through violence, however you want to do it. In Legions, if you haven't seen this, their claim is that you can recruit and therefore play as any NPC in the game. That when you start out, you'll be able to see, because you can hack their data on their phones and so on, you'll be able to see their background, what they're all about. If you successfully recruit that person, you can then play that person. And this shot that's up there is a former MI6 assassin, Helen, who's in her 80s, and she goes around and kicks so much ass in that gameplay trailer. It's awesome. The voice actress is hilarious. And I almost think there's another character they show off, Naomi, who looks so much like Dominique Tipper, who plays Naomi on The Expanse, and sounds so much like her that, I tagged her in a tweet about, is this you? Got no response. So either she didn't see it or she's contractually obligated to not say at the moment. So, but anyway, it's Watch Dogs Legion. Just if they can pull off, even if they pull off half of it, if you can, jump into half of the NPCs that you run across in the game, that'd be awesome. But if they can pull off literally being able to recruit and play any NPC that you run across, that's amazing. I can't imagine how they could do that. And supposedly some of these are procedurally generated, and we've been promised procedurally generated worlds in various space exploration games that turned out to be, that's still the same looking grass as the last planet I was on. The patches and the sizes look exactly the same. It's just a little bit taller and blue and not green.
Completely not interested in space exploration. It's why I also, oh my God, my best friend in the world is such a creature of Mass Effect. And this is like one of the one only things in the world that ever pulls us apart is that she's like, you still haven't played it. And I'm like, space?
I can say so. Mass Effect. I'm a space junkie anyway. I'm a science fiction junkie from way
I
back.
know you are. I know you are.
But Mass Effect is really good if it's a good game. Particularly three is a deep, deep psychological game
I've
on
so
top of space opera.
I've so heard, but I will probably go back to the earthly realms of what you were just talking
Well,
and do that.
you're probably not going to like my last game then, because it is the Outer Worlds, um, developed by the guys that did Fallout New Vegas. So it looks
Oh,
like Fallout in space.
oh.
It is, yeah, Fallout New Vegas, not 76, not the studios that have made the last two Fallout games, the guys that made the good one. It looks like it. It looks like it plays like it. The humor with the NPCs, it really looks absolutely wonderful. Um, if you take a Fallout game and just drop it in outer space, for me, that's heaven. But I got to point this out. This blew my mind when I was watching the newest trailer. So that was a logo. They start talking about how corporations essentially own everything, and corporate culture is the only culture that has survived for hundreds and hundreds of years, where other government systems have failed. Blah blah blah. That logo comes up as a ship is flying by it, and I live on the North Shore of Massachusetts, and that is 100% an exact copy, not in neon, mind you, but of the logo of Rizzo's Roast Beef and Pizza with 3 locations in Salem, Massachusetts. Look that up, folks, if you don't believe me. That is Rizzo's
Pretend I
logo.
have a fan that's covering my face right now.
Exactly. I'm just saying, Rizzo's, if you're listening, you might want to get a lawyer. Um, or if you made a deal, I really hope that you have you've gotten the movie check, as Kevin Smith calls it. So that's our E3 roundup. Now we're going to go into a few other topics. We don't have a lot more to go over this past week, but we got some. The big one is at the end. So we're going to start with yet more Dune news. But guess what? This isn't about the movie. Well, kind of. Yeah, Sarah, I could go for pizza right now. Brady, I agree. I want pizza too. Sorry for getting you all hungry talking about pizza, but if you are on the North Shore, Rizzo's Pizza is really good. Um, anyway, so the news here is that there will be a new Dune series that will tie into the upcoming Dune movie. Denis Villeneuve will be directing at least the first episode, and it's called Dune: The Sisterhood, which, as far as I can tell, is not in fact based on the Sisterhood, which is a group um, of from the later books by Frank Herbert's son Brian Herbert and some of his fellow authors. Um, the Sisterhood in the books is an offshoot of the Bene Gesserit, the Reverend Mothers. That picture that you're seeing up there is of the Lady Jessica in her form as a Reverend Mother from the Dune movie. The Sisterhood is a group that shot off of that in the 10,000 year reign of Leto's son. Yeah, son. I was a grandson, but no, it was a son. And are not a religious group in the sense that the Bene Gesserit is. They are a much more militaristic order. But the series, as far as we can tell, is in fact about the Bene Gesserit and their rise up to the point of the Dune book timeline. This is going on the new Warner Media streaming service, which we know almost nothing about. It's got a new drama called Tokyo Vice that's coming up, love life, a romantic comedy, and a Gremlins animated series. And that's the only thing we know about this Warner Brothers streaming service. So when it happens, there's yet another service that I'm going to have to get into because Dune of any kind, yes, pardon me, and Dune, because I'm sure Denis Villeneuve is going to kill it like he did with Arrival and Blade Runner 2049. And whatever that universe, the way it looks under his control, I want to see more of it. But we'll be getting back to this on our last topic. Our next topic is we've got the first images of two of the upcoming Disney Plus series from the Marvel characters. I'm sorry, one of the series and one of the upcoming Black Widow movie. From the series, and the news is that this was taken during Kevin Feige's presentation recently. And if you can tell by the marquee that's on the screen behind Loki, the cars that are in behind him and in the foreground, and the belted jackets on the people that he's walking, this is set in 1975. Or at least this episode is. Come on, Gogo, you're chomping at the bit to say something about that.
I'm so excited. The 70s are amazing. Listen, wherever they were going to put him, I'm here for it. I feel like that they had to choose wisely. It had to be somewhere accessible. It couldn't be somewhere that was otherwise done. And again, I'm saying that as someone who absolutely loved Good Omens, but we got all that. So now we're going with Loki, and it may have nothing to do with anything.
Well, I would like to. It will definitely have something to do with at least one episode. I would like to see where Hiddleston is supposed to be the narrator and the one tying all this together while they go through sort of alternate world storylines.
Yes, but
I would like it to see set. Yeah, his narration happens in the 70s. I think that would be cool.
yes, and he is literally coming out when I was born. So,
And by the way, if you want to get a look at a really accurate look at what I'm assuming this is New York was like at that time frame, watch the HBO series The Deuce. Spoiler
please,
or warning,
do
it's
it.
do it, but warning, it's about Times Square and the prostitution and then adult industry or adult film industry in that time in the mid 70s. And so it's really not safe for work. But it's also really well written and acted.
But that's what we do here at Nerd Caliber. We show you all the things, and that is what we do.
Exactly. Just that, Sarah, I missed your question. Sorry. The reason they have blue glowing eyes is the planet Dune, or Arrakis is its real name, is the only place in the world that produces melange, or simply called spice, which allows really, really long extended lives if you take it. If you take too much of it, if you essentially become addicted to it, it turns your eyes completely blue. And the people who live on Arrakis, and there are people who live on this desert planet, the spice is in literally it's in the air they breathe. It's in everything, so their eyes turn blue. So there you go.
I want to go back to Loki for a hot second
Go
and
back
just
to
say, okay, so they're putting him in 1975. They're going to give him like a little bit of boogie. They're going to give him that swag. He's going to have like a little bit of tackiness. It's going to be great. I honestly feel like they could just make it dirty.
It's
And it's
Disney
gonna
Plus.
be, I
So,
know,
yeah, they're not
I
going to make it too
know.
dirty.
But I mean, well, I mean dirty in terms of like
Gritty.
fashion. Yeah, gritty fashion. And I know it's actually not going to be that gritty, but I'm excited for it. I'd rather him start in the 70s than start in the 80s where it has to be like cocaine and I don't know if I can say that here.
You can say cocaine. It's a drug.
Cocaine and sunshine.
There you go.
But seriously, fine. If you're gonna start him in our upper part of the century, fine. Start him there. Let's see him work.
And I hope that they do moving forward so that he eventually get to like 1977 and we have him at one of the showings of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That that
Please.
there are things that he can do in. Thank you. That's exactly it. I'm sorry. I'm getting exaggerated and I'm throwing hands.
All right.
But that's exactly it.
All right. Moving on from movie stuff to sort of movie stuff, but real life. I can't imagine you guys missed this, but if you did, that picture of Robert Downey Jr. is not from his announcement recently at the Amazon RE Mars show. It is from a different, some different event somewhere. It's the only, free licensed one I could find. But at that Amazon RE Mars show, he announced something called the Footprint Coalition, which he is doing with Matt Damon. And it is going to be a celebrity created, grassroots driven attempt to try to solve the problems of human induced climate change. And if Tony Stark and Jason Bourne can't fix our climate, then we are completely screwed, people. You can go to the website footprintcoalition.org or com and sign up for the newsletter. There's nothing there yet. Unfortunately, it's just a sign up and a white page with some text. But I signed up the minute I saw this because I can't wait to see what they do. But I'm looking for the .org or .com. It doesn't say in this. The link is .com, footprintcoalition.com. I'm really hoping that that they get some of the AI that they're going to be focusing on. The way this is going to work is they're going to be using artificial intelligence to apply to discovering solutions to these problems. And I really hope they get some of the best AI researchers in the world to join up with them and start, hopefully, doing something serious about this.
I think they will. I think they absolutely will. This was just like a teaser, and it went all over the place, and everyone was like, yes, 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 yes. But that is the good and bad power of celebrity, is that if they have it behind them, then I do think it will. I mean, I know it's a weird thing where they're like, we want to do this, but we need to make it happen. Well, it will. I do think it will. And I also think it's time. I think it's time for our heroes to actually make change. And they want to, and we want them to. And so I think it's going to happen.
So, fingers crossed, folks. All right, now we get into the last topic, and this is sad news, and it's could be even more sad. So that, of course, is the picture of Swamp Thing from the new DCU series Swamp Thing, which, if you've seen our show before, you know we talked about the fact that it got cut down to 10 episodes from its original 13 while it was in production. And we just found out, now about a week and a half ago, that it was confirmed that DC Universe has canceled it. There will not be a second season. They canceled it after the airing of the very first episode. So that's really bad news. There was, in case you've been following this, there's been a lot of speculation about the fact that one of the reasons it was canceled had something to do with a problem with the movie tax rebates that they were getting out of North Carolina. And since that got picked up and spread by all kinds of websites, some of the websites like Hollywood Reporter and Deadline, which really have inside connections in Hollywood, said their sources say that was all completely wrong. It had nothing to do with it. And in fact, Warner Brothers or Warner Media and DC got the exact deal. They got the payments they were supposed to in the deal. It had nothing to do with that. That whole thing was started by one one Twitter guy who looked at the numbers that he had seen that had been reported somewhere and said, "Oh, so this must have been the problem," with no verification whatsoever. And so many different comic book and nerd focused media picked it up. So please, other reporters, do your research. But anyway, so in addition to that, one of the other things that came out was this interesting little story a few weeks ago about what is coming to and leaving DCU coming up soon over the course of the summer. So there's a bunch of things that are coming to. Movies, animated movies like Justice League No Justice, so on. Oh, I'm sorry, those are the comics. On the movies, so Watchmen, watch the mockumentary Watchmen Under the Hood, the original Supergirl, the animated Green Lantern Emerald Knights, the outstanding animated Batman Year One, a few other things. What's leaving? All-Star Superman, all the Batman series up to the Nolan movies, all the Supermans, the animated Wonder Woman, and other animated like Batman v Dracula, Batman versus the Elite, Superman Batman Apocalypse, Superman Batman Public Enemies. They are pulling an awful lot of stuff off of DCU. And then we got that news about the Warner Media streaming service getting this new Dune series. DCU will continue. They're working on Titans. They're continuing to make announcements about. My camera just went crazy out of focus. That's
you look
weird.
good to me.
In the preview stream, I'm looking. Well, both of us are looking pretty fuzzy, so I'm assuming that
Oh no.
YouTube is having a problem. But so, the next season of Titans is in production. They've cast new characters and so on. There will definitely be a DCU. It will be, I think, a drastically cut down version of DCU than what we were hoping we were going to get, because Warner Brothers, Warner Media, its parent, is going to be putting a lot of resources into that Warner Media streaming service. It's my theory. But certainly all of this stuff that we're seeing really indicates that that's going to be the case. And I'm bummed out about that. I would love to see... Well, we know the second arc of the third season of Young Justice Outsiders is coming. That's already in the can, and it'll be here in July. But beyond that, whether they will continue to make the Stargirl series, any of the other stuff that they've announced that they were going to be making, particularly the live action stuff, if they haven't started production, I don't know. So it's going to be a bad time. But in any event, folks, let's hope, fingers crossed, that doesn't happen, or at least it's not as bad as I fear. In the meantime, go watch, even though it's canceled, go watch Swamp Thing. It's really good. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I thought you were saying, yeah, I saw the intake of breath. I thought you were going to jump in there.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that was yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. I grew up with Swamp Thing. I don't think I'm really the right person because I won't say anything constructive. I'm just like, how could you ever? I'll just sound like this poor, like, why would you ever? Like, seriously, they brought it back. The makeup was so good. Like, everything was so good. You don't want me to talk about Swamp Thing because I'm just gonna say, how could you do this? Because it was so good. So y'all made a mistake.
I agree. I think that everything about it, the body horror, the horror aspects of it were amazing.
Everything I'm sorry, everything was correct. they had updated something that was what, from the 60s,
Yep.
but made it correct for now.
So 70s, I think, early 70s, and it really took off in the 80s when some really creative people, particularly Alan Moore,
I
came
remember.
on.
No, I remember that. I remember
Yeah.
that. No, but still, like, I'm sorry. I'm just so angry. I'm angry. Like, how do you have something that it's really easy to update? You can make it correct because the old thing of Swamp Thing and rural, like, and you update it, and then everybody likes it, and
Yeah.
then you take it away.
I don't know how they track viewership for things like these streaming services. I'm sure they're using some sort of model that maybe somebody figured out how Netflix does it or whatever. But I can only guess, even though it did get really solid critical reception,
I
uh,
I
it
remember that. It did. It got the good stuff.
it may not have gotten the eyeballs that they were expecting. And however, they do track that. I'm assuming that it's sort of like Netflix in that it's based on how many new or continuing subscribers that they can seemingly time to that particular show. And maybe they just didn't get any new ones.
So
But
I guess I just want to make a plea to like my feminist peers, like, ugh, sometimes they're gonna do a monster movie and you're gonna think like, oh God, it's so awful because this is exactly like monster, girl. But give it a hot minute
yeah,
because it may surprise you because there may be women writers and there may be trans women writers that you just don't know. Like, just we're working to change comics writing. So give us a hot minute to see how it goes.
yeah. And the character Abby Arcane, who's the main female character, has
Yeah.
always been an excellent female character that wasn't there just to be the damsel in distress that the swampy monster throws over its shoulder. It's just
But
never,
it's such
never
an
been that.
old I know that, but it's such an old story. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think they failed to on the retelling of how to make it.
That might be the case. And please do watch it. Even though I mean, realistically, it's too late now. But
But just do because
just
it needs to be. You got to watch it.
exactly. All right, folks. On that note, we are done. Thank you all for joining us. We will see. Hopefully, some of you got that pizza that you were looking for. Uh, we will see you next week.
Bye.
And go. Do you have anything to plug? You got any gigs coming up?
Oh gosh, I've had so many gigs. Again, if you're anywhere in the southern specter of the United States, if you're in Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, my crew will be at Hypericon coming up on July 4th, and we are doing everything Pride sauce. So come see us.
Cool,
Um,
cool.
all you need to look up is Dirty Nerdy Burlesque.
And
That's us.
boy, do you need to look that up.
Please do.
Cool. Thank you, Gogo. Like I said, we'll be at PortCon, Maine. We'll be giving stuff away at our panels. We will be really a big presence at New York Comic Con. But before that, in August, we will be exhibitors at the Fan Expo Boston at Boston Comic Con. So check us out there as well. And oh, you know what? I just realized that in doing this for now a little over 2 years, I've never once said, "Hey, if you like the show, subscribe to Nerd Caliber
Oh
and
my,
click that notification button." So
oh,
I'm a bad YouTuber, folks. Jake, I'm a
click
bad
that.
YouTuber. I'm sorry.
Subscribe. We're really good.
Yeah, subscribe. Anyway, folks, thank you all for joining, and we will see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.